Hello, beautiful souls. A couple of the interviews that I've listened to today. So one of them, so these are ones to go check out. One of them is on YouTube still. It's 3 hours, 17 minutes, I think. Brett Weinstein, or Weinstein. And basically he's with the guy who invented mRNA over 30 years ago, mRNA technology, and someone else. I can't remember the other guy's name, but I'll try to attach it, please ask. But if you Google Brett Weinstein and you look up his latest videos, you'll find one that's 3 hours, 17 minutes. So it's three scientists, doctors, researchers who are discussing the challenges going on the planet at the moment and the mistakes that are being made that are costing lives. Even if you just listen to the first 15 minutes and hear the caliber of these human beings, but really quite amazing. What I'm going to do actually is, because obviously this is YouTube, which has massive issues, so I've joined Telegram, so you can find me, Madonna Guy, I can't remember, New Leaf Health Team or New Leaf Natural Therapies on Telegram, and I've also joined Gab, Madonna Guy, Newly, I don't know what they're called, but Madonna Guy, I'm in there, and so far I have one subscriber myself. So anyway, so I've joined both of those to try to, I'm going to start putting bigger videos, so once I watch things and then I get around to it, I'm going to start putting like a bit of a synopsis, because I know everyone doesn't have 3 hours to listen to things, but I'm so trying to keep up with the science and listen to who the new people standing up and fighting for us and fighting for our health. And I'm so indebted to these human beings who are telling the truth and really speaking out. So that's one amazing interview. And the other one was Peter McCullough again. And this one was it on BitChute? Anyway, I'll also put, but he's interviewed by, you'll know who I'm talking about. It's the lawyer who's running the Nuremberg 2 trials. So his name's Rainer Fuller or something like that, but he's a German-American, and so he's working with 100 lawyers and like 50,000 doctors or something worldwide, and he's been speaking to whistleblowers from WHO and Gavi and sort of all around the world, from politicians and scientists and people who are saying, what the heck is going on the planet? What is going on? And so it's a really fantastic interview, because this is maybe about the 5th or 6th time that I've heard Peter McCullough talk. And he's been on dozens of safety benefit ratios. So, you know, sort of like when a new drug comes out and looking at who it's beneficial for, who it's not, who there's looking at risk assessments. And so he's got a huge history. He's an editor of 2 big journals. So, and he is the most published researcher, scientist, doctor on the stuff going on the planet right now. So credibility, he's up there, and he's finally making it onto mainstream media in the States at the moment. I mean, I heard him for the first time, or maybe I heard about him here in Australia maybe a year ago. I knew he was doing something with one of our Monash University, I think down in Melbourne, about hydroxychloroquine, and basically at the time, and then of course it was all squashed because, you know, of course the big bad orange man mentioned it, so therefore it was never allowed to be discussed again. And, you know, even anyway, whatever, listen to the guys. So anyway, so that was one thing. But then I heard him for the first time maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks ago on Tucker Carlson, and you know, anyway, so he just shows up in my feed occasionally, and I sort of had a bit of a listen to him, and I thought, oh my God, because he actually mentioned Australia within the first minute. And I thought, oh my God, he's talking about Australia. What could he possibly be saying? And I thought, is he Australian? He doesn't sound Australian. Anyway, but he sort of basically commented on how our doctors, March last year at the smack bang beginning of this whole schmozzle, our doctors would go to jail if they prescribed certain drugs that have been available planet-wide in safety, safe drugs worldwide that have been prescribed like billions of times, and all of a sudden they go to jail if they prescribe them. Crazy times on the planet. So anyway, he also speaks the most openly. I've heard him speak, or maybe he's done more research and he sort of now is putting together the pieces of why this is all going on, and especially now ouchie Fauci's, emails have been released, and that sort of released a whole bunch of new cans of worms. So it's very, very interesting that stuff is coming out that, of course, when I mentioned it a year ago, it's like, oh my God, she's a crazy bitch, which is fine. I don't mind being called a crazy bitch. I've been called that most of my life. But I do I feel I am honestly grateful and feeling it's just an amazing time that people are speaking up, and that is incredible because these people are putting their lives and their reputations on the line, and I think we need to listen to them, open our hearts and minds, even if we're fearful and angry about what's going on, because yes, there's a shitload of fear, there's a shitload of anger, and I hear that. But on the other hand, I'm seeing the side effects of the what. So yesterday, one of my practitioner friends, I've known her for about 10, 12 years now, and she knew so little about the side effects. And so when she was telling me about one of her 18-year-old girls who'd had and she was in hospital the next day with some magically rare clotting disorder, and I said, how much before had she had and it was the day before. And she hadn't thought of it. The girl herself hadn't thought of it. None of the doctors at the hospital thought of it. And yet that is the one side effect. It's the only side effect that they're discussing here in Australia. There's so much cognitive dissonance about this because we have been told for 50 years, if it's safe and effective, it's safe and effective, it's safe and effective, it's safe and effective. So people don't see anything else. And this is exactly what Peter McCullough was saying, doctors in their surgeries are seeing things that they've never seen before. Rates of just about everything has gone through the roof. But if doctors believe things are safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective, and they're not allowed to speak out for risk of going to jail or huge fines, of course they're not going to say anything. This is, as I've said 1,000 times in the last year, this is a bizarre time on the planet. We have to stick together. We have to open our hearts. We have to open our eyes. We have to open our ears. Listen, hear, comprehend, make the best decision for ourselves, whatever that is. Whatever that is. If you still choose to go and do that, that's fantastic. Make the choice that's best for you. But know that the ramifications may be long-term. One of the doctors, I can't remember, I think it was a 3-hour 17 interview. The other one with Peter McCullough was only about an hour, but I don't know because on BitChute it's really hard to see how many minutes. But the one with Peter McCullough, he was sort of commenting that most doctors have never even heard of the VAERS website. They're not trained to do it. And once again, they're not trained to because when they see things, they're not taught that it's even a possibility that these things can be side effects. So if they're trained there's no side effects, they're never going to fill out VAERS reports. And if they're not filling it out, and this is why a study came out of Harvard, I don't know when this was, it was a while ago, but basically it sort of worked out that maybe about 1% of side effects and deaths were actually in the VAERS reports. So, but even if Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, she guesses maybe this time, because there's a lot of buzz about it, maybe there's 10% on there, but nonetheless, when you look at the numbers on there, and I personally, like I've had a distant cousin in Melbourne die this year, but I've also had, just coincidentally, a whole bunch of elderly family members die this year. And I asked Mum, I said, have they been vaccinated? She didn't know. We don't want to go pry into the immediate family's business, of course. And it's not something that, you just can't text someone and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. Can't ask that. So it's just, I think in Australia, and I know we've hardly been hit by the, I know we've hardly had it. But even here, most people I know someone who's been damaged by the V, whereas we don't know anyone. No one I know. Actually, I think I've mentioned it, my cousin in Jordan. So he's in Jordan and he had it. He's, how old am I? So he's about 55, I think, this year maybe. And he had 0 symptoms, but he got the swab. They found it. He's got massive doses of antibodies. So living in Jordan, he doesn't have to have which is good, because if you've actually had it and then you actually are more likely to have bad side effects. That's some of the studies coming out at the moment, which once again, one of these interviews sort of discusses that. Anyway, that's my overview. Remind me to put the little things. I'll upload this straight away, so make sure you ask me if you can't find it. But these are the 2 that I've listened to today. But the one with Peter McCullough, again, he is just, he's fabulous. And actually, so is Brett Weinstein. And I know I'm saying his surname wrong because I know it's not the same as Harvey. But anyway, so I don't mean to put him in the same kettle of fish family, whatever. But okay, got to go. Bye.